Sgold.
Habari za wakati huu, naamini uko salama kabisa. Karibu sana katika kipindi cha Sgold. Ni seminita Jamala Saada na Sudi kujiunga na wewe siku ya leo, kwa sababu kuna mengi ambayo tumekuandalia kabisa. Tupo katika msururu kuhusu yule ng'ombe ambaye anazalisha maziwa, tunaita dairy cow. Bila shaka utasoma na sisi kabisa hadi tufikie tamati. Kuna mengi ambayo tumekuandalia, lakini awali ya yote ni kukaribisha nikikwambia kwamba tafuta kalamu yako, karatasi, uandike, utekeleze baadaye, kwa sababu hapa ni darasani. Bila shaka nasema hivyo kila siku. Na katika makala ambayo yanafuata tunazungumzia ng'ombe aina ya jasi ambaye anatupatia maziwa. Anakwenda namna gani, uzalishaji wake unafanyika namna gani? Bila shaka kiwambo kisalia papo hapo runinga ya Citizen, tazama makala yafuatayo. Jina langu ni Emmanuel Terer.
Another day, another very exciting feature, and as you can see, I am out in the field. This is Nakuru County, and this particular region is called Kambiamoto. And the friends that I do have around me are Jersey dairy breeds. This is Lily here, naona huyu hapa anaitwa Yam. We have another one there called Winnie. Now this particular dairy breed is from the British Islands, and they do have a lot of benefits, including optimum milk production, and also the quality of milk has a higher butterfat, which is preferred by processors. Today on this feature, we're going to meet an expert who's going to be talking to us a lot more about the milking process and what you need to do as a farmer to make sure that you are maintaining high standards of hygiene, and also you're getting quality milk from your Jersey breeds like this one right here. Come along with me. Let us meet Mr. Juma. Juma.
Hi.
How are you?
Very good.
Thank you so very much for inviting us to Rawhide Farm. And I want us to learn a lot more about milk production from the animals in there.
Yeah.
And pengine utuanze kwa kutuambia the breeds that you have here and why you decided to settle on those breeds.
At Rawhide, we keep Jersey cows, and the reason to that, the farm is known for Jersey breed. And this is all the way from 1947. So we've, decided to go on jerseys because of the quality, and it is something that we started with, and we don't want to change to other breeds.
Other breeds.
Yeah.
Now, from many different farmers that we have seen in the country, a lot of them, when it comes to dairy farming, utakuta na the Jersey breed. Talk to us about why it's very loved by farmers.
Basically, a Jersey cow is a smallholder cow, and we've always encouraged our clients to buy jerseys because they are low feeders, and then their milk is of high quality, in terms of butterfat and protein content.
So you've mentioned one of the advantages of the Jersey breed is that they require small amounts of food, so that mkulima asiende underfeed because of that line. Help us understand how I should weigh the food and how much the cow requires, so that I still make sure I'm doing the right thing.
When you compare them with other breeds, other breeds you might feed them up to 40, 50 kilos of feed per day. For a Jersey, they only consume about 28 to 32 kilos a day.
And that's one.
One Jersey consuming about 28 to 32 kilos of feed.
And that's a mature Jersey?
A mature Jersey,
so, now there's the aspect of quality of milk and the quantity of milk as well. Help us understand the production of Jersey when it comes to these two aspects.
Any farmer out there, when they buy cows, they're looking for volumes, and it has to be a good volume. And for a Jersey, they can give you up to 28 liters a day. And when you look at their butterfat content in comparison to other breeds, Jerseys are always on the lead. and they give up to 5% butterfat content. And the protein level is also good in comparison to other breeds.
Right.
Yeah.
So now let's get into the aspect of, yes, it has a higher butterfat content.
Yeah.
The importance of that in that milk.
Yeah.
What is it?
Basically, you know, we, the farmers, we are trying our level best to feed the nation with good milk. And, you know, for the children and adults, they all drink milk. And you should be able actually to drink good milk.
Is this a preferred choice by the processors when it comes to value addition in milk?
Yes, please. Because we have lots of processors in the country. And you have one processor who is looking for just volumes. They want volumes. They're not interested about quality. But out of 10 processors, we've got that one processor who recognizes quality. And they are ready to pay more for the quality. Yeah, they pay bonus, you know, for butterfat, for low TPC, low coliforms, and all the rest. So they do that because they want to make a good product for the consumers.
So let's say I have a farm, na niko na hao Jersey, and probably I also have Frisian as well. If I recognize the quality of the milk that comes from my Jersey, and I have the people, the processors who come to buy, should I mix this milk that comes from the different breeds, ama nihakikishe huyu anakujia maziwa ya Jersey, huyu anakujia maziwa ya Frisian? How do we go about
now,
that?
That is entirely up to the farmer, because if you're in business, you want to make money. And to me, I'll say you only make money when you're producing quality. But we don't know what other people do out there. Yes, you can mix because it's all milk. Because if you blend Jersey milk with Frisian, your butterfat content will change. Yeah, from maybe 3.8 to about 4.5. So if you blend the two, you will improve on your butterfat.
Right. Now let's talk about the milking here in the farm. Tumeona mnatumia the milking machines. Is this the method you've been using all through since you started the farm, or did you transition at some point?
We actually transitioned at some point because we want to produce quality. The milk that has been milked by hand, unless, you know, somebody is very keen and all that, you can't compare the milk that is milked by hand and the milk that is being milked by the machine. Because for our case, the milk comes from the cow through the clusters into the pipes and then straight into the cooling tanks. And then for the hand milking, you're milking into a bucket or something, go and weigh, put it in cans, transfer it into the cooling tank. And that is a lot of work.
Right.
But to have it, you know, machine milking, that makes it easier. You know, you have other machines that have got the flow meters. In that you milk a cow, you can monitor what they are producing, you record, and then kwaheri to the cow.
Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of efficiency and the period of time that will take you when you're using the milking machine, nataka utuambie kama hapa how many cows you milk and also how long it will take you until you're completed with the work.
Okay. We are milking 110 cows, and 110 will take roughly 2 hours to milk. If we were doing it by hand, it will take quite some time.
Right.
And then that means you also need to employ more milkers. And then that you increase your cost of production and everything. But with the machine, within 2 hours, you are done.
Right.
And you can still be milking, even if it is raining, you will still be milking. When you open the gate, they know that it's time to go and be milked.
Right.
They just come in by themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're milking using the machine, what do you use to detect that the milk that was there in the udder is completely removed? Tusibakishe some, you know, leftover milk right there, which could cause diseases to our animals.
Yeah. We only take the clusters off because on our flow meters, you can see that there's no flow. And then you just have to hold on the clusters, push it down a little bit, Yeah. If there's no flow, then that means that cow doesn't have any milk.
Right.
So you take the clusters off, rinse them, ready to go to the next cow.
Right.
Yeah.
So the flow meter is giving you the liters that is coming from the cows.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So the moment you see the numbers are not moving,
Yeah.
then we are done.
On that flow meters, there are things to look at.
Right.
A milker might have forgotten to reset back to 0. And then we had a cow that had produced 10, and it was not reset. So transferring to the second cow, the volumes are going up, so you wonder what has happened. And that you can detect very quickly, because you can't have a cow producing 30 liters in one milking.
One round.
Yeah. So that means somebody went to sleep, and therefore
They forgot to reset.
to reset, yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So how do you prepare the udder? Is there anything we apply? Kwa sababu wale wanafanya na mkono, kuna gel tutapaka. Does it work the same way for you when you're using the machine?
Not for when you are using the machine. We here, we know our cows are clean. We don't expose our cows in mud and all the rest. And as a matter of fact, we don't clean our udders at all.
Really?
Yeah. We bring the cows in. They have their 1 kilo of dairy milk, clusters on. We only check for mastitis before putting the clusters on. But other than that, we don't clean, because they're basically clean.
All right.
Yeah.
So you check for mastitis every day?
Every day.
Twice a day as well?
Twice a day.
All right.
Yeah.
What is the treatment process of mastitis, and how long will it take for a farmer before you're able to start milking that cow again?
That will basically depend on the withdrawal period of the drug that you are using. Because once you start them, giving them antibiotics, and you have the intramammary tubes for, going into the quarters, and you have the injections. So they can have the injections for roughly 5 days.
So for your cows to be able to produce milk vizuri, comfortably, they also need to be at ease. What do you do to make sure that your cows are comfortable during the milking period?
During the milking period, we always say we try and bribe them with 1 kilo of dairy milk. But the 1 kilo that we are feeding them in the manger when they're being milked is part of what they should have taken outside.
Right. So there's no additional?
No additional.
meal. Okay.
It's just, playing with them and making them happy. Because when they're in the manger, that is a peaceful place. That is where the production takes place. And for a cow to produce, they want to be in a quiet place. You only hear the machines and everything, and they know.
Right.
When you are putting on the clusters, they know what is going to happen. They relax and then start producing milk.
Right.
Yeah.
So on top of the feed that you're giving them, nimeona pia mnaongeza a mineral.
Yeah.
What is the quantity that you add, and also what's the importance of that mineral during the milking period?
Okay. On top of 1 kilo that they get fed per milking, we add Molar Plus. Molar Plus is a mineral, and it's also a milk booster, and it helps the cow to salivate more, wanting to eat more. And in so doing, they will eat more, they'll drink more. And that now adds up to something, and that is milk.
Right.
If a cow is producing 5 kilos, and you introduce them to Molar Plus, from 5, they'll go up to around 8 or 10. Yeah. To other people, they will get tired. And, if you do it once and you don't do it the next day, you haven't helped.
Right.
You need to be consistent, every day.
Right.
Morning, PM, morning, PM.
And the quantity is strictly?
Yeah, 60 grams.
60 grams.
60 grams per kilo per cow.
Right.
Yeah.
Saa zingine utaangalia the feeding lots after milking, you realize ng'ombe wengine walimaliza chakula chao hapo, wengine walibakisha. Kwa ule ambaye alibakisha, what could be the issue?
There are so many things to look at. One, either that cow is sick because she's not eating, or there's something that, the manger is not smelling nice. And cows will say, we cannot eat from this plate. So they'll just stand. They'll still produce because they've been fed. When they come in, they'll produce, but not as much as when they are eating and all that, because as I've told you, there might be something wrong. You know, either that cow is sick, and that means we have to check, take their temperature and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
So kwa ile chakula ambayo imebaki hapo kwa hiyo feeding lot,
Yeah.
when I'm bringing the next group of cows,
Yeah.
should I add the feed on top of that, or I do away with that?
First, you need to ask yourself, you know, cows like dairy milk. If this dairy milk has not been consumed, what might be the reason? So you take out that 1 kilo of dairy milk, put it aside, and then bring in another kilo. Rather than, you might put there 1 kilo because, oh, Jane has not eaten, maybe Margaret will eat. You don't do that. You just take it out so that we are not actually making this cow look at the food and then look aside.
Right.
We want them to come in, be happy, and then relax.
Good.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the temperature of the milk. Kwa sababu hapa naona you have cooling tanks where you store and cool the milk, but when the milk is coming out of the cow during the milking, it's normally at what temperatures?
Normally it's around 9.2 degrees, and then it will be cooled down to about 3.9 degrees, and that is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it's at 3.9 degrees, for how long can it stay fresh for?
As long as you don't put in your fingers or anything, the milk is well covered. That machine, if there's a rise in temperature, it will just detect the temperature, and then it will start cooling.
Right.
And then when the milk has settled, you have the cream, you know, the butter coming on top. The same machine will detect that it is time to agitate. So we have the agitation going on, and we have the cooling going on at the same time. So the milk at 29.2, the compressor and the agitator will be working at the same time.
So talk to me about kwa mwaka mzima, jazi wangu anaweza nipatia maziwa vizuri for how many months?
If they are pregnant for 7 months, you should be able to get milk out of that cow. And then when they are 7 months and you've confirmed they are in calf, we dry them off at 7 months. And then they will dry off for 2 months and then back again for milking. So we have 2 months dry period, and we have 1 month just relaxing and, you know, being out with the others. And then the last 1 month is for steaming up. Start feeding them feeds that are now going to help in milk production, so that by the time they come in, that cow will be producing milk.
Right. So after 7 months, when you want to dry them off, what do you do to dry up that milk?
A cow will be milked. Make sure that there's no milk left. And we have the intramammary tubes. You know, there are so many on the market. Depending on what you have, each quarter basically gets 1 tube. And this is now sealing off the teat outlet so that there are no germs entering and all that until that cow is now ready to be milked again after she has calved down.
Right.
Yeah.
So also you told me that this cow will give me about 28 liters
A day.
a day.
Yeah.
All right. Hiyo itakuwa for a period of how long?
From day 1 to 100, once a cow has calved, the production is good. But when they are now nearing drying off and all that, the milk drops. We talk of a lactation. In a lactation, before that cow calves again, that cow should have given you roughly 5,800 liters in that one lactation.
Right.
And they can do up to 6,000 liters in a lactation.
Right.
So that is entirely up to the farmer, you know, what you're doing to that cow to attain that number of liters.
Right. Does the age of the cow matter when it comes to quality and quantity of the milk?
Yes.
Help us understand that.
Because when they are still young, they are able to produce more and all the rest. But when they are now nearing around 8, 9 lactation, they are aging. And therefore, production starts dropping. When the production starts dropping, we are now looking at culling the cow. And culling means they don't get milked, and it's time to retire them and, you know, send them to the butcher because, you know, they are no good if you're milking them and they're not producing enough, because feeding will be the same and then they're not producing enough. So you just cull them.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk to my farmers and advise them of things they need to look out for kwa maziwa. Yenye inaweza kakwambia, ni kama kuna kashida mahali, you need to check on your animals.
Normally, if you know that this cow has been producing 10 liters every morning, and then the next day she's only doing 2 liters, what has happened? You have to check the health of that animal. She might be sick, and that needs your attention as a farmer.
Could there be some conditions that are affecting my cow that leads to even a physical change in how the milk looks like that could tell me there's also a problem with this milk?
Yeah, because with milk, you can smell. Good milk will smell good. Bad milk will smell bad.
Right.
And that depends. You know, if you let out your cows and they go and start grazing on things that are not good, that is going to affect the milk. So you make sure that, you know, your paddocks are free of weeds, just grass, because basically the cows are grazing on grass, not weeds. So there are some harmful weeds that should be actually controlled to make sure that, you know, that bad smell in your milk is not there.
Great.
Yeah.
So finally, as we wind up this conversation, also talk to my farmers on proper handling of their milk to ensure that there's no contamination after milking.
This is what we say every day, because you will not be happy to have 4,000 liters of milk with poor handling, and then you expect good money. Because if that milk goes bad, you've lost on everything. So it is always good, and that starts from feeding your animals well, milking them properly at a good place, and making sure that, you know, the storage is also clean.
Right.
Because if the storage is not clean, the milk is going to contaminate, and then it will go bad, and that is a loss to a farmer.
Fantastic feature from Rawhide Farm, learning so much about this particular Jersey breed that can give you optimum milk production. Also, it does have very good milk quality, and also another catch for this breed is it does not require a lot of feeds. Now, you know, feeds is one of the main reasons that kicks a lot of farmers out of business. Thank you so much for watching this feature, but do keep it Kenya's Gold, because we still do have a lot more when it comes to all matters dairy farming in Kenya.
Ni makala mazuri kweli kweli kuhusiana na ng'ombe huyo ambaye anazalisha maziwa ambayo unayahitaji kule nyumbani. Bila shaka umeandaliwa na mwenzangu Ngina, kumaanisha kwamba yale yote ambayo umeyafuatilia basi utakwenda kutekeleza baadaye, kwa sababu tunakuenzi sana kama mwanafunzi wetu. Ibuka siku zinazokuja, na bila shaka tukifika hapo basi tunakwenda mapumzikoni. Tukirejea tutasikiliza mdahalo mkubwa kabisa kuhusiana na ng'ombe huyu wa maziwa. Usikwende popote, usibonyeze kidoboshi chako, salia nasi. Twende mapumzikoni.